So I'm here today with Gemma Newton, who is the founder and director of UK Blog Awards and UK Blog Relations. Now, she created an incredible event, which I've been very fortunate to be a part of for the last 3 years, the annual Blog Awards. Gemma, tell us a little bit about the event for anyone that hasn't been. How big is it?
It's pretty big. It's grown from 250 people attending in the first year to 600, and we've capped it at 600 because we literally can't bring ourselves to make it any bigger. However, there's always the demand there year after year. So it is a really fun event. It is about what awards and recognition of content creators within the digital industry for individuals and companies. But what's really important is for us to provide that event experience. So not just another event, another industry awards. You know, we like to theme the event, we like to have campaigns behind it just to make it an enjoyable and really interactive evening and experience.
Yeah, it's not too formal, is it? I remember the first event I went to, you had trees like literally growing out of the carpet. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the year of the BFG. So again,
was it Alice in Wonderland?
Alice in Wonderland was the first one, actually, yeah.
Because I got met by a guy in stilts too. I mean, I think it just really sets the tone, doesn't it?
Definitely. And this year we're celebrating blog heroes and heroines. So again, we've got a really nice hero-inspired event coming up in April. So it'll be really exciting to see how everyone perceives that and how everyone enjoys the evening.
And that fun and creativity is a real part of the Blog Awards, isn't it? Because you're not just celebrating the creativity of the bloggers. You actually really express that in your event.
Absolutely. And also being an influencer and developing online content, we've gone past the point where it's okay just to have text. People are encouraged to be more creative in how they're developing content, whether it's through visuals, video. Bloggers are taking the time to go out, set up sets and actually, develop briefs themselves into how they want to be portrayed online. So it only feels right to provide that fun and engaging experience at the awards event.
So when you first started out, I mean, it was a big event from day one, really, with 250 people. Did you have experience in events beforehand?
Yes, so I had run events for up to 6,000 people. But again, that was from a more public, private sector perspective, and it was from a more formal point of view. So this was an opportunity for me to put my own creativity and personal stamp and just bring the fun factor into an awards event and event management that I know it can have.
And so with that first event, I guess kind of taking yourself back 4 years now, but what were your initial fears when you were sort of setting that up? What were the main things that you can remember being worried about?
People turning up. Attendees, everything running smoothly. I think that's every event manager's fear. I see events as a big jigsaw, and you're planning, and it's all about the planning, and that's really key. And hopefully that jigsaw all fits together on the evening, and thankfully, over the years it has.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there is that. I mean, I obviously run events too, and it is that fear, isn't it? And actually, sometimes the planning isn't just for the day of itself and for everyone else to see. It's almost to reassure yourself. You know what you're doing. It's fine. I've done this. I've got this contingency plan. If this happens, this happens.
Absolutely.
In terms of selling tickets, so when you first created the awards, Did you have a sort of number of tickets in mind from day one and a venue in mind, or did you sort of see what the uptake was and then adjust to where you were going to host the event?
We envisaged attendees of about 100 for the first awards event, and obviously that exceeded our expectations. I think with event management, it's always good to plan ahead. Up until the first 3 years, we maxed out the capacity on every event, so that's why we've ended up going to the Park Plaza on Westminster Bridge that can maintain such a higher audience, attendee, footfall.
Yeah, because it just gets really big, doesn't it? And you don't want to be turning people away, particularly for something like an award show. So it's finding that balance of actually, you want to guarantee that you've got the right number of numbers in for just logistics, but you don't want to be turning people away. So yes, it's finding an ideal venue that can accommodate that. And then if you have got less people than capacity, that it doesn't look too big and too empty, and they can adjust it and kind of just really adapt to the numbers. Because that's the difficult thing about tickets, isn't it? You can never really tell how popular something's going to be, and year after year the numbers change so dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even though the awards event is about the people that enter, the people that go through the judging process and that are potentially awarded and recognised on the evening, we've also been very passionate and forthcoming about inviting everyone. You don't have to be an entrant of the UK Blog Awards, you don't have to be an entrant to be involved in working with the brands or connecting with us during the process and outside of the process. It's just about bringing everyone together.
So for anyone watching who's planning an event, have you got any key tips that you would suggest?
Organisation, spreadsheets, lists.
Just plan everything.
Yes.
And in terms of things like catering, do you tend to sort of outsource things, or do you try and go for venues that where they can cover as many bases as possible?
We're happy to work with any type of supplier. I think it's just knowing that the supplier is going to deliver quality produce and a quality service. So it's about trialling and testing things, having tastings before the event. So then and again, with event management, it's always having that contingency and knowing that you've tried and tested something builds confidence in that the event is going to be delivered successfully.
You don't want surprises on the day, basically, do you?
Absolutely not.
And so while it's one day a year, it's so much goes into that, and I probably so much more than people actually realise.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, things like tastings. So you must be back and forwards across the country a lot for the awards.
Yes, definitely. And again, it's really good for us. The awards are London based, but our head offices are actually based in Lancashire. So yes, we're often down in London meeting with our brand partners, running events for the influencers, catching up with the influencers, but also planning the event. Yes.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned brand partners, because I think it's a big part of events these days, and actually a range of things that a range of companies will look for sponsors and brand partners. I mean, where do you even start with that kind of thing? Did you find it tough in the first year, or did you find that your event management background really helped you know how to approach brands and look for sponsorship?
It was tough, and it was a really big learning curve, actually, definitely from a marketing and PR perspective. My specialism had been events. It had been the more traditional side of marketing as well. So that was a really big learning curve. But I think the visual side of developing a media pack was really important, because in the first year we didn't have those stats. We didn't have the credibility. We'd not ran the awards. So the brands were literally buying into what I was advising them as to what this model and award ceremony was going to be.
Your vision, basically.
Basically, yeah. So, and it was a tough sell, but also we targeted companies that had a clear influencer strategy and that directly wanted to work with influencers. So again, it's about the research.
And so now 4 years on, what kind of stuff do you include in that media pack that you're sending out to sponsors?
So it's got to be visually pleasing on the eye, to initially draw readers in. Just with anything that's online in magazines, we are naturally drawn into an image over textual content. The stats are really important. Again, brands need to know that they're going to receive that return on investment, and that's what the stats provide. Images from the evening, and also having a clear structure in what the brands are going to receive in return for that investment.
And how much detail do you go into with those stats? Is it things like your social media followers? Do you go as far as impressions from the night? I mean, what kind of stats do you share with your sponsors?
So we break it down as much as possible in terms of PR, attendees, type of entrance, the demographics, age range, and then breaking down the event on the night. So impressions, engagement, outreach, and use of the hashtag as well. The hashtag is really important in terms of running events within, where we're at now. A hashtag can enable you to monitor and deliver that engagement to a brand, and then the brand can again assess that return.
No, it's a great way of measuring that engagement, isn't it? Because you can literally type in and they can see it for themselves. It's not something secret behind closed doors. They can literally type in the hashtag and see how many people are using it on Instagram or Twitter, which is a really nice tool.
Yeah, and it gives your brand, it gives people that go-to as to what your brand is about, and also where the event is, what's going on. So it enables you to stream all the content into one feed.
Mm-hmm. And then, so in terms of your sponsorship packages, were they kind of fixed dishes, or were they movable feasts? Were they things that you came up with in year one and thought, you know what, I'm going to see what the response is and then adapt? How have they changed over the years?
It's been movable over the years, because the stats has grown, the interest has grown. We've been able to increase the package pricing, but also we've had to increase the package pricing because the event costs so much to deliver. So it's free to enter, it's free for individuals to attend. And because we do it because we plan and execute the awards to such a high standard, the investment from the sponsorship is absolutely imperative. So therefore, the brands are not only investing into advertising for them, but they're also investing in the people that are entering. So that's really important.
So what kind of things do you include in your sponsor packages?
So traditional forms of advertising, so there's obviously the judging, the branding on the website, and the advertising on the evening, with logos, PowerPoint presentations on screens, and just generic branding. However, what I think is really important now, and what we've tried to move away from, is just that traditional type of advertising. It's really good to provide that social media engagement, to run small, real niche events that enable brands to build relationships and market themselves, and also provide that personalisation to their consumers and to potential business opportunities as well.
And I think that's something you've done very well. I mean, as one of your judges, I've attended a number of smaller events in the run-up to the awards, so it definitely isn't just one night. You kind of have tailor-made these small events with your sponsors so they get to meet those influencers and the judging panels on, you know, on a kind of not one-on-one but 1-on-20 basis, which is brilliant for the sponsors.
Absolutely, it's important for both sides.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And what's the feedback been from those sponsors? Is that an area that they particularly like, those niche events?
Yeah. Basically, we piloted the smaller events last year, and they just seem an absolute niche for it again, and also the demand. So again, influencers are really interested in getting that face-to-face engagement with brands. About 5 years ago, it was okay just to liaise via social media, and also because of the crash, there wasn't that investment in events. However, we've now seen that do a complete 360 U-turn, and people are now getting together again. It's all about attending events. It's about having that presence online, but also building the relationships face to face, which I think is so important.
And some of your sponsors have done some really cool things at the events. They've really tied in with that creativity, haven't they? I remember last year, Odeon had a whole section where they were playing sort of film trailers, and you could sit in cinema seats and eat popcorn and, you know, really engage with the brand. If I think of anything from last year, Odeon is one of probably the five words that would come into my head, which is brilliant because that was your key sponsor.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, and that's what we work with our brands to do. We don't want our brands to come on board and not to get their return. We work really hard in line with their internal strategy and objectives and their KPIs. We want to know why they want to be involved in the awards, not just for our benefit and the consumer benefit as to why they should be.
And so I think, as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I love about you, I think you're constantly moving. You know, that idea of the rolling stone gathers no moss. You're always on to the next project. And I mean, then since you've launched the awards, you've then gone on to launch 2 other projects, which I think is amazing. What's next?
A holiday.
It's about time.
Again, I'm very much about creating products that is of quality. So that's why it did take me so long to found UK Blogger Relations and Relations London, because I wanted to have that time invested into the product and also for it to be right. So there was all of the research that went behind both platforms, and now it's just about making those platforms the best they possibly can be, and again moving with the times, because influencer marketing, is it influencer marketing, is it influencer advertising? Social media is changing daily. There's new guidelines that are coming in from the regulating advertising bodies about how influencers can be perceived online. So it's about us working with brands to support them in working with influencers, and then also working with the influencers to ensure that they are mentored and supported in the right way.
And I think what's great when you look at your business development, you've got a very clear sphere of influence. I like the fact that, you know, you've thought, okay, I'm going to launch another business. But rather than just pick another industry and go for awards in another industry, you've really, you know, drilled down. You're like, right, you've got all these contacts, all these influencers. How can I serve those influencers in another way? What service can I offer to all these people who are entering the blog awards already? Which I just think is, you know, it's really clever business thinking. I think, you know, like you've already got that long list of contacts. What can I do for those contacts? Where can I innovate?
Yeah, and it's about us. What I've always been really passionate about is providing the quality service as well. I think there's, in terms of influencer marketing, gifting was really, really powerful and a really exciting thing for fashion brands especially to do. But now there's a very close measurement of a return, and what return do influencers provide, and what is an influencer? Is a consumer sharing on Facebook an influencer? Was 20 years ago, doctors were our most traditional influencers, and more known to consumers, celebrities are influencers. So again, it's about getting that return. It's about knowing which influencers to work with and which influencers and brands align directly with each other.
So if anyone is watching this and thinking, you know, I've got a brand, I've got my business up and running, I'd like to work with an influencer. What tips would you give them for getting hold of an influencer, for working out which influencer is best for their brand?
Have a meeting, do the research, don't necessarily focus on the following. Look at how engaging they are with their followers. We have a public vote element to the UK Blog Awards judging process, and in the past we've had people say that it's a popularity contest, but it's actually not about that. It's about, the public vote is to assess how a blogger and influencer or vlogger is engaging with their following, because if they are then getting their votes, then there is the traction in the link backs, and that just shows the strength of them as an influencer. We have people who maybe have 600 followers to people that have over 200,000 followers on social media, and both it kind of shows the representation when they do reach the finals, how powerful their content is. So they're the sort of things that we would advise to look for.
Well, I suppose particularly if you've got a very niche area of business too, you don't need someone who's got 2 million followers if only 100 of those people are actually going to be relevant to your brand and actually care about your brand. Absolutely. So you're better off looking at someone who is perhaps a bit smaller and a bit more niche, who actually understands your brand, and you know that, you know, 9 times out of 10 that it's going to resonate with the people who watch them or read them. Yeah,
absolutely. 2017 has definitely seen the rise of the micro influencer. So again, focusing on influencers that have got that powerful niche rather than the highest following, because again, there might not be the right engagement.
Thank you so much, Gemma. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure too.